So by now you're asking, well, what is STOP? How effective is it? Is it doing anything? Is it not doing anything? STOP has, believe it or not, had many incarnations, most of which were considered rock solid solutions to this problem while doing almost absolutely nothing beyond just sort of trying to say, don't get raped. And that's not a solution. That's not something that works. And when you've got a gang of individuals who know that they can get away with rape and they can trade victims back and forth, it doesn't matter if you've got a buddy. They can take care of the buddy too. But apparently there's strengthening of it that's trying to be made. But let me read a little bit about it here. The STOP Act, or sexual assault in the military. According to reports by the Defense Department's Sexual Assault Prevention and Response Office, SAPRO, sexual assault and rape are extremely prevalent for service women and men. According to the survey, almost a third of women in the service will experience rape or sexual assault, and almost 90% of women experience sexual harassment. Statistics about men are harder to come by, but the Veterans Affairs surveys have found that almost 60,000 men have experienced rape or sexual assault during their time in the military. It is a harrowing thing to think that while these women and men are putting their lives on the line for their country, that they also have to worry about being assaulted by their fellow service members, the very same service members who are supposed to have their backs in case a situation gets hot. And you know, that's a funny thing because I keep hearing this belly aching about adding women to the front line, saying that, well, that's just going to add fuel to the fire. Women are going to be more sexually assaulted or claim that they're more sexually assaulted. Women are going to be raped or sexually assaulted on the front lines. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, because this topic hasn't demonstrated in any way, shape, or form that, frankly, they're getting raped anyways, and their rapists are getting away with it. As well as, again, this perfectly paints that. If I were drafted, say, into the military, I would have to be watching my front and my back every time because, again, remember what the courts have said. Rape is an occupational hazard of service, and that includes men and women. Sure, I could bulk up, I could become, the all-American man's man and fend things off, but at the end of the day, if somebody wants to rape me, they're likely going to rape me. And they're not going to be nice about it. This shouldn't have to be something that's on the minds of men and women on the front lines, because it is what's on the minds of men and women not on the front lines. And then they want to act as if the environment is so much worse on the front lines. It's like that saying, well, men will be more inclined to do stupid things to rescue women because we feel more protective of women. Yeah, I've heard that same argument for why gays can't serve on the front lines because they'd be distracted by men's butts. Because we can't be professional. Because you want to try to say that somehow heterosexuality is in any way different than homosexuality, and therefore um, even if there is some sort of sexual tension there, that because gays have served honorably in our military and not been going around raping everybody, what does that say about you heteros out there who are so insecure about women on the front lines and think that our protective nature over women is going to override our logic in the heat of battle, and the sexual tension will also cause us to do stupid things in the heat of battle because tits and vagina, right? Right? Or dat ass, right? When you have no evidence that this is so, you have no evidence that when you've objectified these women that gays couldn't just as easily be objectifying men, and yet you have no problem with gay men on the field. So why is the inclusion of women on the field any different? And how is this a different argument from the same argument we had against gay men and gay women serving on the front lines? That they could not concentrate on their tasks at hand, and at critical moments would break down and give in to their deviant desires for the sex that they prefer, because somehow homosexuals are different than all the rest of us. Except, spoiler alert, they're not. So what does this generally tend to do? Well, it's a creation of an autonomous sexual assault oversight and response office that's staffed both by military and civilian personnel. The creation of a sexual assault database within the Department of Defense that is required to share information with the Department of Justice. Civilian Sexual Offender Database. Ensure all victims are provided safety and security. Have the authority to reassign a victim to separate them from the assailant. Create a new method of reporting rather than having the report go through a chain of command or COC, and work with military investigation organizations, work with different branches of the military to provide contact info for sexual assault grievance board. That's what it's supposed to do. What I'm finding out so far in most of my research is that's not quite what's happening. But it's getting closer. It's a step in the right direction, but it's so many steps behind what actually would constitute as an effective way of combating this. We know through background checks that most of these rapists are known as rapists or attempted rapists, and we still induct them into the military. And then we're surprised when the rapist actually rapes. And then this is no different than as I was talking about with our hiring practices with the police. We're so upset about the minority of police who are either power hungry or are rapists or do terrible things to people and seem to get away with it because they've got a badge and they've got friends in high places. And yet again, background checks, they reveal this stuff. If you attempt to rape somebody and you get caught for it, you get known. We don't overlook these things when it comes to criminal records. You attempt to rape somebody, we know about it. That doesn't mean when it comes to the military, we need to take anybody with a pulse. Same thing with the police. I guarantee you if we change some of these hiring practices, we'd have way better results when it comes to the amount of rape, assaults, and other things there. We don't, and this is a bigger case for us ending our being the bigger brother to all the other nations out there. We need this bloated military, which then needs fresh bodies, which then is, again, anybody who can pass the physical and has a pulse will take you. We might know that you're a rapist. We might know that you're an attempted rapist. We're not going to care. And then we're going to, when you might actually do, because I'm not going to say every rapist always rapes all the time, no exceptions. But the majority of them seem to statistically be doing these things. And by us doing this, we're just basically letting wolves into the hen house. And then acting surprised when we wake up in the morning and the hen house has been torn to shreds. And all the chickens are dead, or in this case, sexually assaulted. That'd make a weird cartoon. Anyways, the point is, this is not what people sign up for. And just simply waving our hands and saying, well, rape is a occupational hazard of service. Only We'll tell you that in court, but we're not going to tell you that up front. We're not going to tell you that in the recruiting office. And even if we discover that you're probably going to be the one to do the raping amongst our ranks, hey, you passed the physical. We need more warm bodies. Instead of shrinking the military down into something that defends our nation, we're the bigger brother stepping in, kicking down doors, doing everything we can, becoming an occupying force in some cases. And this is not the America. This is not the military that I want to fund. This is not the military that I want to support. I will support the troops. Do not get me wrong. I find it sickening the ways that we promise all these things to these soldiers, and then when they're chewed up and spit out through war or rape or what have you, we turn our backs on them, or we call them crazy, despite the fact that what we're labeling them with doesn't make sense to what the actual condition would be. And I could go on, but I'm not going to. This is my conclusion. Go to Not Invisible, link number 1. See what can be done to try to influence and fix this problem. Other than that, I'm just asking that you listen to my facts and make up your own dang mind. But I'm hoping that what the case that I have presented through these links, through these articles, should at the very least get you thinking, well, gee, maybe this person isn't just full of hot air. Maybe this person isn't just complaining about the military because. Maybe this person isn't just biased. Maybe he does care about service men and women, since this affects both genders. This isn't, again, in closing, this isn't just a military issue. This isn't simply a female issue. This isn't even just a male issue. This is everything's issue wrapped into it, also a private sector issue, because what happens in the military doesn't stay in the military. You can continue to turn a blind eye to this, but at the end of the day, if you're willing to support victim blaming, rape enabling through the ludicrously terrible military justice, then at the end of the day, you are not supporting your troops. You do not care about your troops. You just care that it's their butt getting shot off or them getting sexually assaulted and not you. Gee, how selfish of you.